Now to a warning, this next story contains video of another deadly ICE shooting that has sparked outrage in Minnesota. We're showing the video to provide the context of the situation.
Police brutality! They are hitting that observer! They are kicking them in the face!
From another angle, you can see a group of immigration agents struggling to hold down a protester this morning. One agent is seen punching the protester before a single shot rings out and the agents scatter. It's unclear who fired the shot, but after that, you can see one of the agents fire at the protester multiple times while he is laying on the ground. John Larink has response from the Trump administration and critics who say the shooting is indefensible.
Federal agents killed another person in Minneapolis Saturday morning, and anger is again rising over the agent's presence in the state.
I can't stand this anymore. I can't stand what's happening here.
The man was surrounded by federal agents when they shot him.
Life-saving aid was being rendered, and he was transported by ambulance to Hennepin County Medical Center, where he was later pronounced deceased.
The Department of Homeland Security says the 37-year-old had a 9mm semi-automatic handgun with 2 magazines. It's unclear whether he was holding the gun when he was shot.
The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots.
In separate posts on social media, senior White House aide Stephen Miller referred to the person shot as, quote, a would-be assassin and a domestic terrorist.
We are under attack by this administration right now, and this is not okay. It's just not.
Minneapolis's mayor condemned the incident and is calling on the Trump administration to end the ICE operation in the city.
The invasion of these heavily armed masked agents roaming around on our streets of Minneapolis, emboldened with a sense of impunity, it has to end. This is not how it has to be.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
If anybody watches the video footage that they have, this was an execution in American streets. Protesting should not be punishable by death, and that's exactly what you saw here. Multiple shots fired into a man already pinned down to the ground, who originally was trying to help another protester that had been shoved violently and pepper sprayed by ICE agents.
Hawaii Congressman Joe Tokuda further called on Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to be impeached and a third party outside the DHS to investigate the shooting.
This individual showed up to impede a law enforcement operation and assaulted our officers. They responded according to their training and took action to defend the officer's life and those of the public around him. And I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign.
Noem says the DHS will lead the investigation.